We are shown football players playing a game. The coach is angry and tries to give his players some advice and motivation. The players win and the coach is happy. Later that day, the coach is in the sauna and he is using heated stones which have meteor stones underneath. The principal enters and says they have a problem. He says that 7 players have problems with their math midterms and will not be eligible for next Friday's game. The coach tells him to put it aside for a few weeks as they'll deal with it during the off-season. The principal doesn't accept it, but the coach says that it's about his legacy. The principal says he doesn't care about his legacy. The coach turns angry. The principal says he finds him dangerous and says he'll suspend the players. The coach hits the table and suddenly flames burst out. Chloe wrote an article on whether football is a sport or abuse, critiquing Coach Walt since she's in charge of the torch writing the school articles. We see Lana and Whitney arguing about something. Chloe calls the players cheaters as they're gathered around the coach. She takes pictures of them, but one of them throws a ball which Clark catches. He throws it back lightly, but the guy gets hurt. This catches the attention of the coach. He then approaches Clark and tells him to join the team, but Clark says his father needs him at the farm. The coach says that he even coached his dad and that he was the best player. He then manages to convince Clark to play in the team. Lana then argues with Whitney about his team cheating but knows he's good at playing. She says she also wants to do something she's good at. Clark then tells his father, but he tells Clark that he can't do it as Clark can make a mistake and hurt someone or expose his powers. He finds this dangerous and says he's destined for greater things. Clark says he will play anyway and he can't stop him. At the Luthor mansion, Lex argues with some executives about the plans of their company and the involvement of his dad. Lana speaks to Nell and tells her to stop cheerleading, as she isn't happy about the cheating and also does not want to do it anymore. She also says she wants to do a job. Nell says she could use help at the shop, but Lana says she wants to do it on her own. We then see Clark at the field, but he doesn't see Lana. His dad also shows up. He says he doesn't support his decision, but is there to make sure no one gets hurt. Clark gets tackled at first, but then plays very well. Jonathan then leaves. As the coach is watching Clark's footage, the principal enters again and says that one of the students came forward and said that the coach supplied them with the tests. They then argue. As the principal tries to get him suspended, the coach gets mad and hits the table. The TV then goes up in flames. They're both confused. However, the principal leaves abruptly as it's just an ordinary harmless fire. As he goes to his car, the coach looks at his car and it starts burning. He then smiles. Clark and Pete witness this. He tells Pete to get help and rips off the door and saves the principal. The car then explodes. That night, Clark and Jonathan argue again. Martha then talks to Jonathan about how he has not been able to do ordinary things because of his powers all his life. But Jonathan says he's afraid someone might take him away if they find out. When Clark and his friends enter a cafe, they see Lana, who has started her new job as a waitress. Clark then says he finds it unfortunate that Lana quit as he started to play, but she says he can stop by any time to see her. The coach then addresses his cheating players. He realizes who it was that told the principal and hits him. The water sprinklers suddenly shoot fire. Chloe takes a picture of this. Lionel and Lex argue about some business matters in regards to firing some personnel. Lionel is not happy with Lex's decision and wants him to fire the people. He then proposes they have a duel and if he wins he can decide. They then fight. Lionel criticizes him, but he then wins the duel and then tells Lex to fire the workers. Clark then talks with his mother about his decision. Chloe meets up with one of the players, but he says to leave him alone. The coach then grabs his arm and burns it. He says that she has taken a picture of them. So as Chloe's in her office working on her new article, the coach starts a fire. Chloe can't get out, so Clark sees Chloe and runs towards her. When the coach hears him, he stops the fire. Later on, the torch has been torched, as Clark states. Chloe suspects that this is all the doing of Coach Walt. Clark visits Trevor so that he will talk, but Trevor is afraid of the coach and says he is violent. Clark wants to help him. So afterwards, Clark visits the coach, who's in a sauna. He tells Clark why he's not preparing for the game, but he says he won't play the game anymore. The coach gets mad and the meteor stones start acting up, and this weakens Clark. He says he found out about Trevor. Then the coach punches Clark and the meteor stones fall out, so Clark's on the floor, unable to move. The game begins, and Clark's parents arrive, but they don't see him at the game. Jonathan asks Pete about Clark, but he hasn't seen him. The coach says he needs Clark. Chloe says that he is lying, and they go have a look. The coach notices this and then follows them. Meanwhile, Clark is trying to break the sauna window with the stones. Jonathan finally finds him and breaks open the door. He then drags him out, but the coach hits Jonathan with a fire extinguisher. Clark is better, but he is also hit, but he then kicks the coach off. Clark tells him he needs help, so he turns on fire everywhere. But this doesn't affect Clark and scares the coach. As he's about to punch Clark, he's thrown away in the shower. The coach now lights a big fire, but he accidentally tortures himself alive. We then cut to Lex and Lionel arguing the same case, as Lex didn't fire the workers but made another decision. But Lionel is displeased. Later that day, Jonathan and Clark talk about their relationship. That night, Clark's in the football field and is approached by Lana, who tells him she got fired. Clark says he won't play football anymore either. Lana asks if he's going to be okay. He replies he sometimes just wants to scream. So they then decide to scream at the top of their lungs together.